Welcome, everyone. We are live this morning and we are alive. Hallelujah. So, we are live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, fan base. This morning, unconscious affirmations. You see, every day you are affirming something. To affirm means to, let me put it into English. When you affirm something, you're saying this is true, right? When you say something is in the affirmative, you say yes, this is true, I agree. Now here's the interesting thing. you know People think that manifestation is something really fun and fancy to do, when in actuality manifestation is simply a byproduct of living. You live, you experience, but what are you experiencing? The things you affirm to be true of yourself, and you are always saying them. This is why people say funny things like, oh my God, my life was so much better when I didn't know the law. Actually, no, you were just unconscious. You were unaware of what you were doing. It is designed in such a way that you should be deliberate, which means you choose deliberately. What is deliberate? It means you, like if you said, I would like some roasted salmon and vegetables. That's deliberate. As opposed to, today, you're going to have shepherd's pie. One of those things you were told, the other you chose. You see, the way life is designed, it is designed by choice. You make a choice, and that's the cause, and an effect occurs. And it looks like it's, ooh, well, that's easy. Yeah, it is. Because it is designed to be simple. So, this is why the things that you tell yourself on a daily basis are always and only going to be the things that you experience. So, if you don't know that that is the way life is designed, and you just think, well, la di di, la di da, life is just a piece of cake, it is designed to be a piece of cake. But if you don't know that it is designed that way, when you become stuck in a situation, you will feel, well, this is my lot in life, and well, this is all I'll ever be, so I'll just stay here. When in actuality, that is not the case. You can make the choice to move yourself from one mental mood to another. So, what are you unconsciously affirming to yourself? Listen, if you listen to anything that, what's his name? His name, tell me his name right now. What is his name? Dr. Bruce Lipton. Dr. Bruce Lipton coined the phrase epigenetics. Hmm? Means that there's stuff going on and we just go with it because it looks like it should be happening, and that's the way it is, right? And he came up with that because he recognized something. You can remove the cells from a person's body. You can remove their genes from their body, just a sample, DNA, and put it in a petri dish in a lab and tell them to think about something. And the way they think causes whatever is in that petri dish to move and shape itself. Fancy that. So he realized it's not that you can move the thing from place to place, it's the environment. So here we are thinking, when somebody says, a scientist will say, well, you have a 70% chance of this gene expression. Oh, and we say, oh, well, that must be true, right? I do believe Angelina Jolie did it. She had a very high percentage of breast cancer, so she had a double mastectomy. And I thought to myself, well, that's stupid, isn't it? Right? Because you haven't been diagnosed, you just have the probability. But here's the thing, the unconscious affirmation or the conscious affirmation brings about the probability. Neville Goddard said it in another way. He said, faith. It's not that having faith will bring it about. Oh no. It is your loyalty to the unseen thing that you are doing that brings it about. The loyalty to it. So every time you get up in the morning, why is this happening to me? That unconscious affirmation that you just uttered it. You've been uttering it for so long. That's why it's unconscious. Because you don't know you're doing it. Let's go back to Dr. Bruce Lipton. He says 95% of what we do is governed by the subconscious mind, the things that you are unaware of. 5%, you're trying to make a change with 5%. You're trying to move 95% with 5%. It should be the other way around. So this now is why when you practice the law deliberately, you are no longer ruled by 95%, because you will see what the 95% is and you will change it. If you have a particular attitude that you walk with every day, as we say in Barbados, your face is set up like rain because you upset all the time, you're miserable and cranky all the time. You see that? You're living in that unconscious bitterness and anger all day long, misery all day long. Well, you may have flashes of glee and happiness, but you go right back. Because why? We've conditioned ourselves, we've unconsciously chosen. You're not supposed to be unconscious. You're supposed to be sovereign. A sovereign ruler is aware. You are sovereign. So you must be aware of what you are thinking. You see, this now is why people can say AI knows us better than we know ourselves. Why? Because AI watches your pattern of behavior. AI watches your pattern of behavior. This is why you can develop an algorithm. You and I, as humans, we don't watch our pattern of behavior. We just go along with it as if it is set in stone. It is not set in stone. It is just set in neurological pathways inside your brain. But if you know the law of correspondence, as above or within, so below or as without, you will always follow what is within yourself. You can't do anything else, just like a kernel of corn can't give you tomatoes. It will never give you tomatoes. It can only give you corn. Unless, of course, genetically, you change the interior. Indeed. In order for you to change the external experiences you are having in your life, you must deal with your unconscious affirmations. This is why Neville can say things like, how can you be conscious of being poor and ask for wealth? You are conscious of something, and that which you are conscious of is what you are, thus you behave like it. So you can look at your bank account and cry, but then get up and put on a recorded affirmation and say, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, but look at my bank account, I'm rich, I'm rich. No! You cannot lie to yourself because you already believe something else. You already believe that you're poor. So how can you be so keenly aware of being poor, so conscious of it, and then pretend to be wealthy? You cannot fool yourself. This is why scripture can tell you God is not mocked, because that which a man soweth, so shall he reap. What is that telling you? It's telling you that whatever you are either consciously or unconsciously aware of, You are planting it in your life. And if you are planting it in your life, well, then you have to have the experience that corresponds. So, the exercise today is a simple one. Pay attention to what you're telling yourself. Oh, oh, you think this is difficult, hey? Angela, how am I supposed to keep track of all these thoughts? I'm not asking you to keep track of all of your thoughts. I'm asking you to keep track of the predominant one. The thing you say to yourself all day, every day. Here's how you do it. Here's how I did it. I was at work. I'll give you the experiment that I tested myself with. And at my old job, I got along with everybody except one person. One. And I thought to myself, I can't. Wait, what? This is not possible. This is not possible at all. So I sat at my desk as I was working and I had a piece of paper and a pencil. And every time I thought of this woman, every time her name came to mind, every time I thought of her and I frowned, I would put a line on the paper. When I had 6 lines, I'd put the seventh line through it. You understand what I'm saying, right? Hmm. By the end of my 5 hour shift, and I saw how many times I thought about that person, it tells you everything you want to know right there. It is showing you right there what you are predominantly thinking about. If you're constantly thinking, I'm just giving you random examples here so you get the idea. What if you're constantly thinking about cheese? Put a line on the paper. How many times in 3 hours did you think of cheese? If somebody has pissed you off, how many times have you thought about them? How many times did you have that argument in your head about them? If you can see what you are doing, it will make sense for you why what you are experiencing on the outside is happening in your world. It does not happen in your world because there it is. No, if there is an effect, there must be a cause. Cause and effect travel together. We cannot escape it. It is law. So if you want to change your life, the first step is observation. What are you observing? The only thing that you can. If you say, Angela, I can't keep track of my thoughts like that, that's okay. Keep track of your predominant behavior. Why? Because you are using the effect to find the cause. If the effect is constant arguments, and you can pay attention to that and see it, well, if you're constantly arguing, well, then on the outside, you are constantly arguing on the inside because you can only reap what you have sown. That is never going to change. Whether it is your backyard garden or it is the garden of your mind. So, the exercise today, catch your unconscious thoughts, not just all of them, because some of them make no sense. Because you could think of cheese 1 minute and this the other. But the one I'm asking you to catch is the habitual one, the one that you always have. If you have 30 thoughts, 28, those 28, because they're going to follow the same pattern. They tell us with science that we have about 70,000 thoughts in a day. Something like that. 70,000. Listen, if you had $1 for every thought every day, hey, right? But out of the 70,000, they're not just all willy-nilly thoughts. I'm betting you 62,000 is the same. So, the exercise that will change your life, if you want to find the root of your problem, it is always going to be in a particular thought pattern that you have. So find it. It's there. And here's the beautiful part: you have a most reliable assistant. Look in the mirror. So then you say, listen, I got me a problem. I keep having the same experience all the time, like I'm in Groundhog Day. Show me what the predominant thought is. You don't even have to speak. Do you hear me? You don't even have to speak. You just want to know what that predominant thought is. The first part to change is to know what the problem is. You have to know. You have to see it. Or else, if you don't see it, you continue doing it. You know? We just do. So ask yourself, what is that predominant thought? What is that habitual thought I keep having all the time? And again, if you cannot pinpoint the thought, ask yourself, what is that behavior that I keep doing all the time? It's the behavior that makes you say, oh my God, why does this keep happening to me? Why do I keep doing this? That is your predominant behavior. It is your unconscious affirmation. You see, we think affirmations are I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wise, I'm wise. And we play these things in the background on repeat day in and day out. But what you're not doing, you're just playing it. You're not living it. Why are you not living it? Because it is not within you. You're trying to get it within you without first recognizing what is already holding its place. You see, it is simple. Pay attention to the unconscious thing that you're doing. But Angela, you said it's unconscious. How can I pay attention if it's unconscious? You start by paying attention to what you're doing, what you're saying, what you're feeling. It is all one thing, but there are three words. Thought gives way to the feeling. The feeling gives way to what you say and the behavior that you do. It's all one motion. It's not thought, feeling, word, action. That's just slow motion. But when you speed it up, it's one thing. You act according to the predominant thought, period. But to see it, you break it down into I thought about that, I felt this way, I said how I felt, and I acted how I felt. Because why? Because the thought is what made you feel. And you can only act according to what it is. As within, so without. So to spot the unconscious thing that you are doing, to spot the thing that is running your life on the autopilot, you must first take a moment to observe yourself. But you see, we're too busy. We're too busy. Well, why don't we take a chance and stop and smell the roses, shall we? Slow down. Slow down. And you begin to see what you're doing. Now, when you recognize it and you see it, you go, oh, snap. Now you won't take offense when I tell you, you put it there. You put the experience there. Well, how did you put the experience there? You had the thought. But when you see that for yourself, you'll say, oh, snap, that's right. And that will help you to not judge yourself. Yeah, because if you have a habit of judging yourself, you'll never be good enough. Because you'll keep saying, oh, I can do this better. Why am I so this? Why am I so that? But if you don't catch that that's what you're doing, you'll always judge yourself and you'll never be as good as anybody else. Because that's what you're telling yourself on a daily basis. But if you catch it and you see what you're doing, you say, oh, that's what I'm doing. Well, I don't want to do that anymore. Now what do you want to do instead? That's the fun. That's where the fun really begins. When you say, what would I like to deliberately affirm then? Well, the beautiful thing is this: you are already doing it. by way of unconscious. But now that you're conscious, do it the same way. What do you want to tell yourself now? Begin to tell yourself that. But when you tell it to yourself, you're going to feel something. You're going to feel a particular way. And it's how you want to feel. So remain how and what? Persistent to the new thing that you're telling yourself. Why? Because you were persistently telling yourself the old thing. Remember, it's not the faith, it's the loyalty to the thing that you're telling yourself. It's the loyalty to it. You don't relent. You just say this is what it is. This is what it is. This is what it is. And thus it becomes. That's what we're doing day in and day out. That's why we have the experiences we have in our lives. But remember, you didn't walk out of the womb. Oh no, you slipped out. And you learned. And all of those things you learned have created neurological pathways. Or, what do you call them? Unconscious affirmations. So, all of those things have an effect. All the things you've learned have an effect. Oh, but Angela, I feel overwhelmed when you say that. Well, let's ease the overwhelm, shall we? You don't have to be overwhelmed. You have to be observant. Because when you are observant, you will see what the predominant habit is. And that is where you begin. And once you replace that one, the next predominant habit will show itself. Because you're looking, you'll see it. One thing at a time. One thing at a time. When we try to do too much, too fast, that's where the overwhelm comes in. There's no hurry, none whatsoever. As Daddy says, you rush the brush, you waste the paint. Take your time. Once you spot it, you can't go back because you've learned something now. You've expanded your mind. You said, oh, that was the problem. You see, this is why scripture can also tell you, don't look at the speck of dust in your brother's eye and neglect the plank in your own. Why don't you know there's a plank in your eye? Because it is unconscious, but you know it's there. This is the thing. You know it is, but you don't know that it is. You know that it is because you can sense that there's something that you don't like that's happening to you. That's why you know. But you don't know because you can't quite put your finger on it. This is why it is always easier to see something. It's always easier to see a fault in somebody else because you're observing them. Then learn how to observe yourself without judgment. Why without judgment? What good is judgment going to do you? Judgment is not going to help you change. Judgment will plant seeds for you to harvest, thereby delaying your change. Oh my God, I'm so stupid. Why can't I change? Then you end up feeling like crap. And because you felt like crap, you planted those seeds. So now when you get up and go out, oh, what do you encounter? More experiences that do what? Make you feel like crap. And then you haven't addressed the problem. You judged it and thereby planted something else that you have to deal with now. And hereby builds frustration and anger. With who? Yourself. Because you don't know how to change. And you feel stuck. That's why you eliminate judgment. Because it does not serve you. The key thing here is discernment, not judgment. Discernment is to look at the situation and say, This would serve me better than this would at the moment, so I will do this. Discernment. Judgment. Why can't I be as good as this person? Why would you do it? Then create a whole other problem for yourself. Don't put a stick in your spoke when you're trying to ride your bike. Hello, because you will only go right over the handlebars. And then you'll say, who put that stick there? Oh, all right then. Who put it there? So, what you gonna do? Observe your behavior or observe your thoughts, whichever of those two is easier for you. Keep track of it. See, we're always on our phones. If you're always on your phone, set up a reminder. Oh, set up a reminder every hour. Oh, that seems so tedious. Which would you prefer? The tedious activity of change? or or the torture of repetition? You decide. One of them is better than the other. One will set you right where you need to be. Hello. Let us take a brief moment, shall we, to welcome everyone into the space this morning. Ooh, I just got a text. It's a foot of snow somewhere, and they're snowed in. Oh, look, today's April 30th. I don't want to open up these blinds and look outside. Who's here? Ah, let's go. I see you here on Twitter. Darling, it is lovely to see you. Truly, it is. It is lovely to see you. Facebook and YouTube. Ronay. Hey, Landon, the better man. Hey, Jeff, how you doing? It's good to see you all on YouTube and Facebook today. Who's here on Fanbase? Let me lean back so I can, well, shoot, just take my glasses off. Mansa, hey. Tajane. Did I do it? Did I do it? Yes! Tajane. Let it just roll off the tongue, Angela. Tajane. Sounds like something. Sounds like a fruity sauce that you would pour over your pancakes. Tajane. It's tasty. It is sweet.
It is. I like that.
See, there you go. Because bechamel reminds me of that because a bechamel is a white sauce with tajane. Anywho, that'll help me to remember. Marquise, darling. Z-Steve. Hey, Daryl. What's his Bob Newhart and his brother Daryl and his other brother Daryl? Anyway, hey, Afternoon Delight is in the house. Hey, Joaquin, KZ, Oracle Tree House, Flo Smiles, Ali is here. Okay, wait. Normally I would make moderators as people got here, but I started. So, shea butter. I see you all. Candace is here. Hello, Raven. Hook a brother up. Hey. And Happy. Hey, Happy is in the house. Listen, it is so excellent to see each and every one of you today. It really is. Hook a brother up. I don't know why you in the basement, honey. You must be busy. Listen. Test yourselves. Because you know you want to change. As Cheesefish would say, you know you want it, right? You know you want to change. Well then, the first step to change is observation. What is it that you are doing day in and day out? Huh? What are you doing? You'll see it whether in your thoughts. Shoot, you could even listen. I told you it was slow motion. Then let's make it real slow motion. Slow motion for me. Anyway, I digress. If you don't figure out the thought, that's okay. What's the feeling? You always have a predominant feeling. Some people say, oh my God, the anxiety is so bad, Angela, I can feel it in my chest. Well, how many hours out of the day are you feeling that anxiety in your chest? That is your predominant thing. How many times a day are you feeling viscerally in your body a predominant sensation? Then go with that, because that will tell you the thought that is triggered, that you're triggering to bring about that feeling in your chest, that sensation. But what if you don't know how to name the sensation? Well, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Rush hour. Anyway, what words are you saying predominantly over and over and over again? See, you have many options. This is the grace of knowing the law. It gives you many a door by which to free yourself. You just have to want to be free, and your personality, whether you hear, you speak, you feel, yeah, whichever that one is that is predominant for you, you will use it, and it will bring about your predominant habit for you. And that's how you will start your observation towards your change. See, it is simple, and we get to do it. Yes, Joaquin, you stop judgment and be happy now, because from there you can see the change. Or you can always judge and be unhappy and never change. Those are the choices, right? I keep telling you. Well, there it is. The overwhelm. The overwhelm is only because you're trying to do too much. Take your time and enjoy the tasty morsel. Life is a tasty morsel, you know. It really is. Did you perhaps sprinkle too much salt? Is it too much sugar? Did you put a little too much cinnamon in there? A little too much cayenne? Or which one is it? We can always, you don't have to throw away what you're cooking. We're talking psychologically. Because, honey, if you burned it and the smoke detector goes off, you need to start over. I know all too well. Trust me. But this is the thing with life. It is a beautiful, I want to say, you can say it's a beautiful concoction of different things, or it is a beautiful cacophony, different sounds and melodies everywhere. It is a beautiful thing, life. But if you don't see that it is beautiful and your predominant thought is, oh my God, what is this? What did I put myself? I chose this. But if that's the predominant thought, how will you see the beauty? But if you look for the beauty, you will find the beauty. But not only will you find the beauty, you will add to the beauty by creating it from out of yourself. Oh, yes, indeed. See, Delight, Delight, this is why I love you. She says, instead of someone catching these hands, you can take the initiative by catching your thoughts instead. Listen, that is so on point. Instead of, oh, you're going to catch these hands. No, catch these thoughts, Angela. Catch these thoughts. See? This, to spot the unconscious thing you are doing, you must take a moment to observe yourself. See, Delight is taking notes, and she's gracious and sweet enough to share these notes with us. And these notes you will see reoccur somewhere else. Just bear with. I don't always remember what I say, you know. And to have them recorded for me in bite-sized fashion is brilliant. So that's why I love you, Delight, for taking notes. Thank you. And our sweet girl, Oracle Treehouse, she takes a photo and she sends them to me. As I tell you, they will reoccur. Don't worry. They'll reoccur. They'll show up for you again, these notes. We don't have to throw them out. Reshape them and reuse them to better ourselves. And not better yourself because there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. Absolutely nothing is wrong with you. All you have to figure out is, what am I doing? What am I doing? You see? So, I'm not going to keep you much longer because I need to go outside and probably shovel. I'm hoping not, but from the looks of things, that's two things this morning that's happened. Two different people to cancel coming into the city. The snow. So I'm gonna have to go take care of this business. Anywho, observe yourself. Observe what you are unconsciously doing. It's not unconscious. It is only unconscious because you don't see it yet. But when you are deliberate in your observation, you will see now, because you will become conscious of what you're doing. And once you become conscious of what you're doing, you have expanded your what? Consciousness. What does expand consciousness mean? Learn something you didn't know. Don't think it's fancy. It's not. To expand your consciousness is to learn something that you did not previously know. About who? You. And so when you learned that, you can't go back to it. You can't put new wine in old wineskins. So that's why what you are aware of now, you develop a new corresponding thought pattern, behavior that has to match, because you cannot learn something new and continue to do the old. It will drive you mad. Thus, new wine in old wineskins, you'll bust them wide open. But I digress. I think you get the point. Let me put my glasses on. There's something going on in the chat on YouTube. Soul of a man. Hello, darling. So this morning, as you hear the bowl and possible bird song, as you hear the bowl and possible bird song, if you're not driving, not if you're at a stoplight, that's not the same. If you're in the car and you're in traffic, come back later. But if you're in a safe space, you're indoors, you're not operating heavy machinery, and you hear the bowl and bird song, bring to your mind's eye, because now you're going to create an algorithm. Well, you already created it, right? But what you want to do is catch it and see what it's collecting. What does it keep suggesting to you? Oh, see the behavior. So this morning, ask yourself, what is that thing, that predominant thought or words or predominant actions or behavior that I keep doing? What is that stumbling block that I can't see? Ask yourself. I told you yesterday, the same way you can ask yourself, oh my God, what's the name of that song? And the song comes to mind. There's no difference between asking what the song is and asking what the unconscious thing is. There's no difference. You're asking, you'll receive. So ask yourself, as you slip into the silence here of the bowl, what's that thing I keep doing that's causing me to stumble? What is that pattern I keep repeating? And you will see it. And when you see it, now choose, what pattern do you want to deliberately create so that you can do that instead? Replace your pattern of complaining and judgment with what? The acceptance of who and what you are and the beauty of what you are. We're ruled by patterns. Just find and make one that suits you best, instead of reliving the one you were taught from years and years and years ago. So you have your assignment. Make life easy for yourself. Ask, what is that thing I keep doing? What's got me spinning my wheels? What is the behavior? What is the predominant thought that is unconscious for me? What is that hidden plank in my eye, if you will, then? Ask. Let us get the bowl, yes? Let's get the bowl. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See you tonight, Twitter. 10:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember, pre-order your Hermetic Oracle cards if you haven't already done so. And I will see you tonight, 10:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Much love. Twitter is closed. YouTube and Facebook. I see you. Thank you all for being here. Soul of a Man, Rone, Landon, the better man, Jeff. I miss Anot this morning. I sure do. I didn't see her in the chat. But I'll see you guys tonight. Much love to you all.